NBA, Ayo's, I think, is spot on in terms of his identification that, hey, talent comes from here. Why don't we go there and partner with a global governing body and develop this, right? They see that because obviously that is going to be their biggest talent pool, right?
Right.
And they get them cheap as well, right?
Right. Yeah.
So they will get them cheap. They get them early. So that is a great a scouting mechanism for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But secondly, NBA is a business, right? And we all know that NBA is a business and it's a profit. It's operating on maximizing profit, right? And Africa, I'm sure NBA didn't just go there and go, let's go try it out. The NBA has been going to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
They've been kind of researching the market for a long time. They've got an office in
Johannesburg.
in Joburg,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they're setting up now another one in Senegal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they have been doing some research and they've been hosting some exhibition matches there, right?
Right.
So they understand that they've used those opportunities, having a presence in Africa, having an office in Joburg. They just opened one in Senegal, having organized NBA basketball games in Johannesburg. They've studied that market, right? They understand the opportunity. They also understand the value of their media rights because they have been operating in the market for a long time. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so for them, this is a very strategic move, and it's informed by some data, by some information and research that they've done with the proposition they have. Obviously, it's going to be a new project, a new venture for them, but it's on a foundation of having had some operations in that market, and it's about profit maximization. I think I'm sure they've identified various partners, commercial partners that will make sure that this becomes sustainable. So, I mean, those are my assumptions at this moment in time, that they've identified how this is going to be sustainable, mm-hmm. and how they'll make it viable.
Okay, yeah, great points you brought up there with the idea about creating a talent resource. In other words, a feeder system for superior talent to come into the NBA. Of course, they already have. I know they don't operate the leagues in Europe, but they already have a system with the European leagues where talents are scouted out and they are brought into the NBA subsequently when they reach a certain level where they feel like they can handle the rigors of the NBA. And so too with the China League, they also have a system set up with the league in China. But these are systems which have already been set up by the Chinese and, of course, the various European countries that operate leagues out there. Now, with Africa, obviously, we have a significant amount of resource in terms of the human resource, but what we were lacking is the wherewithal to get this stuff set up. Of course, there was AfroBasket, but it wasn't anything that was up to speed in its operation. It needed funding. It needed robust support to get it off the ground and running the way it's supposed to be. Now, some of the questions that people are asking, because I know out there, some of the questions I've seen out there, why those 12 countries, those 12 teams? What about the rest of Africa? And of course, there are questions about people questioning why the continent, why not just individual countries? I don't understand. I mean, but that's something that I guess we need to talk about. Why would you feel the countries? What justifies the countries that were chosen in this case? Of course, Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, Senegal, Egypt. And those are some of the main countries that were highlighted in the selection in terms of the first 12 teams that are going to start off this league. Let's look into the idea why these countries were chosen. Ayo?
Yes, I'm guessing it's because of their rankings and how they performed over the years. Let me rewind back to last year. Last year I was with the head of the athletics the UK Athletics in London here, in the United Kingdom here, and I asked him what influenced them to choose the 8 countries that were selected for the inaugural World Cup, that is World Cup Athletics. And the gentleman explained to me that it's the way they performed. And the question I asked him immediately was, is there going to be room for other teams to be promoted? He said yes, but I didn't seem convinced by his yes. And obviously the reason why I was asking that question is you have countries like Nigeria, Kenya, and other African countries who are, prominent in track and field. And I just thought to myself, this seems like an elite thing. How are they going to break through? Is it going to be the same old, same old? Let's just say I was half convinced by what he said. So I would say in that respect, questions might still need to be asked as to what will influence the teams, because obviously I'm just guessing that it's the way the teams have performed over the years and where their rankings are, according to FIFA, FIBA World.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm just thinking it's according to. Yes, I'm here.
Right.
So I'm just thinking it's according to that.
Okay. All right.
But I do want to say something quickly before it escapes my mind. I appreciate the fact that you guys are wondering why they've chosen Africa, and why you said that, it got me pondering that what are the implications of that to the local leagues? So I'm just wondering, should it be the local leagues in these countries that should be developed first, the grassroots, so that a team qualifies from one? So that basically develop the leagues in the African countries first, and not just put the continent as a whole together in terms of Nigeria and that. I'm just wondering. I don't know what you guys feel.
Okay, I can come back to that later on. Tema, what's your reaction to the countries that were selected? So far, so good. I counted 9 countries, and it was saying that each country is entitled to 1 team, but not more than 2 teams. At this stage, we have Angola, Egypt, Kenya, Morocco, Nigeria, Rwanda, Senegal, South Africa, and Tunisia. We know some of these countries are powerhouses in basketball. I can definitely name Angola. I can definitely name Nigeria. I can definitely name South Africa to a certain extent. Senegal obviously has a number of players in the NBA. Kenya, I don't see. Rwanda is coming up gradually, but they've yet to prove themselves on that level. So why would they select these countries just at this stage, and then why leave other countries out there where I know were potentially better situated, or will be better in terms of being included in this at this early stages. I'm not saying they're not going to be included in the long term, but why at this stage is particularly 9 countries?
Yeah, where's the money?
Yes.
Yeah. I like that. Money talks.
Yes.
And those are, in terms of the performances of the national teams, as you rightly pointed out, Angola, Egypt, Nigeria, Senegal, not South Africa, but Tunisia, maybe, yes.
Yeah.
These teams have been, some of them winning the AfroBasket League. So yes, performance, but most importantly, I think, in my opinion, and this is what I would do as a businessman, I would look at the money.
Okay.
If you look at those countries, Egypt, Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, top 4 African economies. Right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And if you look at kind of the media economy, right?
Yeah.
Sports TV economies.
Right.
South Africa, Egypt, Kenya, Nigeria.
Right.
So
Makes
if you
sense.
look at regional economies, North Africa, Egypt is number one.
Right.
West Africa, you have Nigeria there.
Mm-hmm.
South Africa, you have South Africa there,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then Central Africa, you have Angola,
Right. Right.
So basically, from a business perspective,
Mm-hmm.
it makes sense because you are going to derive significant value from sponsors associating with those teams in those countries, right?
Right.
And this is Pan-African. So I understand the need to do a grassroots thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But business people look at the opportunity, right?
Right.
The opportunity is Pan-African. Look
Yes.
at the media rights
Mm-hmm.
for a Pan-African league
Mm-hmm.
and the interest that it will generate outside. So you have the best players potentially from the best African basketball nations competing in the Champions League of basketball in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Most people watch it. This is a great media proposition, and
Yes.
it's done
Yes.
by a marketing powerhouse like
The
the
NBA.
NBA,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So it has the ingredients for being viable and have local traction, that is an African traction, but it has that potential to be an international a proposition, an international media proposition. So for me, it makes sense. If you were to say to me,
Mm-hmm. Hello?
or set up a Pan-African league,
Right.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, I was saying, if you were to say to me, you have an option to set up an Angolan league
Mhm.
or a Pan-African basketball league, I will definitely look at a Pan-African basketball league
Absolutely.
because that's where the opportunity is.
Yes. Yes, I agree with you 100%. And I've always said, personally, myself, this is something I've always advocated in terms of the economics of it. And in Africa, individual leagues, locally, those are feeder systems for a bigger system in Africa. In Africa, definitely, of course, you talked about the top 4 or 5 economies, and they're included here. And of course, we talk about stability, of course, political stability, of course. You look at Rwanda, which is highly stable and growing. It's one of the fastest growing economies in Africa. Then, of course, Angola is very up there in terms of economic might as well. Senegal is very stable, very an investor's destination as well. So when you look at the countries that have been selected, Kenya is not, like I say, it's not big on basketball in terms of what they've done, what they've achieved. But you look at the economic landscape in Kenya, this is something that could be developed because with the NBA, it's about marketing. It's not about what's there.
Sorry, ladies, to correct you, but Kenya has got a good basketball culture, a good grassroots basketball culture. Maybe the national team is not doing as well, but the Kenyan basketball culture is very, very good.
Okay.
So they have some good leagues there as well. Very good leagues.
Okay, because I talked to a few people there on the ground, and they complain a lot about the lack of what with of the national federation, which is
exactly. No, I mean that's phenomenal with most African federations, but the culture and
it's
the
there.
enthusiasm for the sport is there.
Got you. Okay, understandable. That's acceptable. That's obviously acceptable. So the economics of it and what holds and so is this a model that when we look at investment in Africa, because obviously now we're talking about the common currency coming along and eventually trade without borders and all this stuff. So obviously we're looking at a landscape where things are getting to becoming much more easier doing business in Africa. And so with a league like this, seems like they've hit the nail on the head and they've hit a gold mine pretty much.
Well,
Right?
I think it obviously the devil is in the detail, right?
Yes.
In terms of how it's going to be done, right? And it's not a done deal yet. The concept, in my opinion, is great. I think the idea of it is great, but obviously how they're going to do it is going to determine if it's viable or not, in my opinion. I don't think this is a blanket model that we can use for investment into Africa, into